Alright, everybody, good evening. Just getting everything in their correct place. And get started here in just a minute. Alright, check us out there. Good evening, good evening. Happy Tuesday. And thought I'd continue coloring these pages. I had to log in the last couple of days working on semester start stuff, and it's mostly done, so I thought I'd take a little break and come work on these colors a little bit more. And I got something kind of, I don't know how much fun it is, but experimenting with a nib here that has a metal tip on the pencil. I assume that's a nice compliment. So thank you. Hola. So I want to come in. I was looking at this. Want to simplify some of this stuff. So yeah, so working on the colors for these kind of test pages here. And but maybe again, you know, mentioned before in the previous live streams, but actually before I forget, make sure we're recording for future potential content, right? Uh-oh, program crashed. Happens once in a while. Usually when I hit the record button, it'll be fine, so I'll try it again. So let's get that up. Use this program called Air Server to broadcast to my computer. Once in a while, it's a little janky, but I think it's okay now. The worst is when I don't catch it right away. I just want to make sure a lot of the stuff is properly silhouetting. That's by kind of working on the iPad vertical like this. It's about the same size as an actual comic book, so it kind of gives you a good view of what the finish will look like. So I want to simplify some of this to a certain degree that I put in here before. So, well, good evening. Like a real comic book artist. For real one just came in there. Bad if I want to simplify this down. Too much dark stuff, too much contrast in here. It's in the way. Especially those darker reds like I have here, fine, but it's when they're in the back. That's a problem. Yeah, I think some of the trouble I was having with the nib last couple days. I think it was actually the nib was starting to run low in its quality, and that was an issue. Yeah, so I kind of got started here. For those coming in, my name is Peter SAKIEVICH. I am artist, art professor, and I teach at Virginia Commonwealth University currently, and in Richmond, Virginia, getting ready for the semester to start. But I also teach online at myartprofessor.com, and my goal there, what I help students with, is taking some of the more challenging parts in art, or things that are seen as more challenging, and making them really doable. Especially lately, focusing a lot on a series of perspective courses that help kind of walk you through true perspective, and but also help you use it to come up with very kind of expressive design solutions. And so, if that's of interest to you, you should check it out. There's some free stuff on there too. And actually, if you're on Instagram, if you just type free course, that should send my chatbot to your DMs to collect an email address. And then the project I'm working on here, this is, well, collecting email address doesn't get you a code. But the image I'm working on here, the pages I'm working on here, I'm working on a pitch for a comic book I have an idea for, and it's based on, I've been kind of working on this concept art update in my portfolio with the new job that I have in the title. And with that, I'm a professor of concept art, and I've done concept art for different things, but I was looking at kind of where things are at, and how things have developed over the last while. And I'm like, oh, I could be better at this or that other thing. And so I started working on some new pieces based around a new kind of world building project I had an idea for. And as I was developing that, I really had a lot of stories come into my head. Things that made the images make more sense, and made them gave them kind of a structure for the projects I was making. And I was like, maybe I should look into really putting this into something, like a comic book or a book or something like that. And so I started kind of developing the story and the characters around that. And I feel like I've come up with something that's really interesting. It's the kind of thing I would like to read, wish someone else would make. And so the story we're seeing here is this is the next set of pages after the original two that I made, and it's about these humans that have colonized this other planet. And on arrival, a couple of things happen. A few things. We'll do three. One, as they kind of approach the planet, they realize that it was not quite what they were expecting. It looks like a giant tangle of plants. It's like someone had balled up a bunch of weeds into a giant tangle, and it's just floating there in space. There's these giant kind of plant structures that weave in and out and are tangled up like a briar in the planet. And so that's odd. And then as they get closer, something happens, and a number of the ships in this colony fleet, this generational fleet of humans that have been in space for hundreds of years, something happens, and a number of the ships land elsewhere on the planet. In fact, they all kind of crash. So even like the main colony, they kind of crash land where they land at. Something happened to cause that, but it's not really that clear. And So that's the second thing. So one thing, it's a weird looking planet. Second thing is they crashed and there's a bunch of groups got separated off. The third thing is they anticipated being able to kind of live off the wildlife and the plants that were there on the planet, and that's kind of what they had planned for, some buffer in the supplies that they developed and brought with them. But it turned out to not quite be the case. They can't process the proteins very well, and the other aspects on the planet. They can, some of it sort of, but it's like it's not great for them. So they kind of getting desperate, and so this is set around 30 years later, and this guy and his son have, along with a group of other guys, they've gone out to scavenge one of the missing colony ships. So they figured out where it was at. They send some people out there to check it out. And maybe there's survivors, or maybe there's not, but there'll probably be supplies either way. And so they head out to check that out. And the scene opens with a previous couple of pages where these guys are being approached by some local predators. And they've been, in their speed of getting out, they set up some explosives to blow the ship so they could get out away from the creatures, but the guy holding the detonator got caught by these creatures, and before they were quite ready, he was about to be eaten alive, and so he sets off the bombs, and so this is the moment when the explosion for the ship happens. And these two are the last two out, and they kind of barely get out of the way over here. And then they walk out. The corridor they're in blew up, and they're looking back as they moved on. They got a couple of their people, and then the rest of the ship goes boom. And so this is kind of a preface to the larger story, and the young guy here, he is the sole survivor of this event, and his father makes him promise in his dying breath to not share what he saw on the ship with anyone. And so the story opens after that with him in the colony, and this promise he's been keeping for 20 odd years has kind of slowly, eaten him up inside. And at the moment the story opens, colony's, of course, in much worse shape than it was at this point, because it's 20 years later. They still can't deal with really living on the planet, and they're kind of reaching a desperate point. And they haven't sent anybody out since then because they haven't heard from any of the other ships. They don't know where they're at. There's not really a lot of point in wandering around this giant planet because you can't find anything. At least not very easily. And the other thing, too, is there is evidence of a past civilization that is no longer there, but there are artifacts and architecture or things that are like that. They don't know exactly what they do or how they work or if they work or what they're for, but they are there. And anyway, so it's 20 odd years later. He's dealing with the events that are going on here, and hey, this nib does work a lot better though. But he's dealing with the events here, and he suddenly one of the beacons goes off on one of their lost ships, and the colony leaders show up at his home and say, "Hey, you're the last person that's been out in the wild, so we want you to go out and see what's what. And in exchange for that, we will ensure that your wife gets your share of whatever's left of the supplies. if you'll go out and do this investigation. And so it's anticipated to be a one-way trip, and he agrees to go. And the story kind of revolves around his trek out to this other ship and what it reveals about their original landing. That's right, wrong layer, this layer. And you know, what happened and why, and what it really means, and how it changes their whole the whole meaning of what they're doing there. And so that's the story, effectively. Yeah, so if you're interested in that, you know, do comment. If you're on Instagram, comment comic. If you're over on the other streaming platforms, there should be a link in there that you can hit up that will get you on the email list for when the project does go live. However I do it, I've been, you know, considering different options and working on putting this pitch together. And then if you're on the list, once I complete this little 8-page sequence, I'll send this out to everybody as a PDF. And so this is kind of my little test piece, just to see kind of what it takes to get these pages done, you know, inked and lettered, and all that good standard stuff, so that I can make sure I'm ready to kind of roll on putting this out there. So, yeah, and of course, let me know if there's any questions. I'll be here, you know, working for a bit. The program I'm using here, this is Infinite Painter. It's a computer program that I think has a lot of interesting stuff that other apps don't. And let's go check and see how I covered that guy, because I don't remember that one exactly. But one of the things is this brush I'm using here, and too much blue. But this brush here is it's kind of a select fill brush, so you draw a shape and it fills it with whatever color. And you can get, you know, there's a brush like this in Clip Studio. There's also a plugin in Photoshop that you can get that does this. Oh, I guess I have to get that stuff off of here. Insufficient space. I thought I cleared a lot of space off of here. Maybe I'll move that off real quick while I'm thinking about it. I got my iPad all set up so I can you know, transfer stuff off of the hard drive. Rather, I've set the hard drive up, so it's an exFAT. Let's see this stuff. Huh? So let's go select. It would be these, and then these would go to files, working to terabyte, and save. So anyway, that's the story. Let me get these off the drive real quick, hopefully. Shouldn't take too long. But, yeah. But anyway, yeah, that's a program I like quite a bit called Infinite Painter. And it has a number of unique features that I really appreciate that make a difference in my process. Now, if it was coming in, I'm just have to offload a few things real quick. Shouldn't take too long. I was running out of hard drive space, so which can cause you problems on these machines. So, yeah. While we're waiting, anyone read any good comics lately? See any good shows, movies? First one's almost done. I did some digital life cleanup this summer. Installed a hard drive in my computer, an extra one. So I have two large storage hard drives, and then cleaned up this one so I could put stuff on here off of my iPad or my phone much more easily. I have access to like a lot of cloud storage, but you know, it just takes time when you're doing that online. So, but yeah, let that kind of get up and over there as quick as we can. So nope, nobody's read anything interesting lately. Seen anything? It won't take too much longer. Let's see, put a song in there. Remove from queue. There we go. So, but yeah, so we're almost done with number 2. Yeah, I guess they're pretty large. One with 3.3 gigs. I guess while we're waiting for that to do its thing, I got an art book in the mail not too long ago. You have to be a little bit careful with it just because, well, it doesn't really bother me. It does bother the algorithms. Maybe I'll share that while we're waiting. Switch up my screens here for the desktop. Let's see. Take camera. Turn on a light for 2 while that's doing its thing. Want to see an art book that I got recently? This off to the side. Make sure it's fitting. So this is Core Collapse Supernova by, it's the Art of Bengal. This is a Kickstarter I think I funded like 4 years ago. He's a great artist. He's actually doing a Catwoman book at the moment. He's done a number of comics over the years, in both his own and ones for others. He's an artist I've been following since I was a student. And some of the stuff in here is quite old, and some of it's new. So, anyway, he has different subjects in here about different things, like there's images based around cars. This is Bengal, Bengal, if you're not familiar with them. Apparently, these are all the inking and the drawing is done with physical media, so pencil and pen, and then he colors them on the computer. So very, very simple line work, though. Pretty good stuff, right? Salutum per aquam. So I guess hello from the water. I don't know. He's French, I think. So, but I've always liked the work. If you look up, I think it's Bengal. I don't remember his Instagram handle is exactly. But I've always liked his stuff a lot. Let's see. There we go. Mostly covered up here. I just don't want any of the systems yelling at me. Robot gods. So, I don't know, is everybody familiar with this person? Somebody out there swimming. I don't think they should care about illustrations, but you know, you never know, right? You okay, buddy, there? Someone chewing on your foot? My dog's just down there, chomping at something. But, yeah, so I waited for this one for a while. Let's see, yep. Yep. I think it's got pretty nice stuff in here. You know, that nice bit of atmosphere. So, it's currently doing a Catwoman book. I don't know if we'll go through the whole book or not, but pull that out. Just should just be over here. Let's see. There's the Catwoman. Probably stuck it with the other Batman stuff. Let's see. Catwoman. So this is what he's currently doing. This just started, so if you're looking for something to get into, it's been working with the Absolute series. And I guess this is issue 2, so I guess there's 2 issues out, not just one. But, you know, yeah, so the black and white is all done traditional, and then he does the rest with coloring with the computer. So really nice graphic shapes and really clear storytelling. So it's definitely been a favorite for a long time. Everybody familiar with Bengal? Wait for this stuff. I should have thought about this beforehand, uploading everything, but I forgot completely about it. I thought I had more room than I did, but it's getting there. We're on number 4. I'm going to let that one run and then just leave the rest of these 4 off, and then I can continue working on my own. Since that one shouldn't take too much longer, right, Bosch? Right? That's what my dog says anyway. So almost there. anyone working on any particular creative projects? Among whoever's in here. That one's almost done. Okay, those three done. Get rid of that. So it's these top four. Should be. We'll do the top three. This will be on the safe side. And I'll go ahead and delete those. All right, now we'll see if that'll let me continue recording. Make sure that doesn't crash. Because I'd rather work, right, than do my chores. I can save that for later when I'm done, brushing my teeth or something. And make sure the correct screen is up over here. Vertical. Oh, there it is. All right. It's back. All right. So we were putting some color variety. We're going to do shadows on a separate layer. And should go okay from here. Yeah, but don't hesitate to bring up any topics or questions. I'm always open to talking about just about everything. And fine, here's to work with this. I was saying before, this is Infinite Painter, right? So it has this really handy brush that I like. One of the other things it does, it has non-destructive adjustment layers. So that means if you want to do like curves adjustments or levels or contrast, it does it kind of on a separate layer rather than actually changing the pixels of the layer it's on, which I think is a big deal as far as iPad apps go. It's like the more popular one doesn't do that at all. Not to I use that one plenty of times for lots of things, but that's definitely a category that were there not competitive. So, and I'll probably use that for these a bit later on, just because that will help kind of unify things, I think, to a certain degree. So, right, Bosch? You okay? You foot bothering you, or you just licking stuff? You're just licking stuff, all right. Sometimes it's hard to tell with dogs, right? What they're up to, what they're thinking. Oh, I guess, let's see. I'm gonna go. Let's see. Just to be sure there's nothing important over there. Let's see. Camera. This over here real quick, just to check that trash. It's still yelling at me about being full. Let's see. Utilities, elections, is that where that's it? Utilities recently deleted. The album. Eat on his iPad. Alright, that should have opened up a little bit of space. Let's see, general, about, version, capacity. Yeah, that should have made a lot of space. Sorry, I was going to run into technical difficulties tonight. So that's what, you know, that's how we roll, right? There we go. Alright, which parts did I color up with this gray? So the back, turning. Good evening. I think we got it figured out. Yeah, so last time I was on, I was mostly working on the flats for this page and touching up the previous one. So now I'm just kind of going through and cleaning things up. To try to just kind of get everything down as quickly as possible. And so that way, you know, I can get what I need done more quickly, hopefully. Where that splotch was from. So that should be kind of whitish. Lighter yellower. Lock the lock. Grab this brush for erasing. Just over the border there a little bit. Let's put my reading glasses back on. Yeah, but don't hesitate to ask any questions if there are any. That always is helpful to me. For sure. Alright, I think. This goes over here. Over there already. They get themselves a bot on Twitch. Letting me know. So, yeah, so I think, let's see, I think this could probably use some color in here, huh? I think that's everybody. So on this, we're going to get shadow layer, which is going to be this layer. And everybody's going to get the same shadow to start with. So set that to multiply. I guess I just turned up. That's why it was so dark. Because I sure is light, considering my past experience with this color. Like you're just going to set up a value pattern. Initially. And we'll go in and make it more particular as we proceed. Right, Bosch? Getting these shadows plugged in. Yeah, trying to kind of keep the coloring process simple. So that way it'll be more manageable. I'm trying to get kind of a big effect in first. hopefully. And that way, kind of works, and then I can kind of clean it up as we go. And that way, you know, if we get it done in a reasonable time scale, would be the, you know, the ultimate goal. Too much. So spotted a spot I missed, just from getting the antenna properly colored. But again, we'll deal with a lot of that a little bit later. Just like to get the big stuff in as quickly as possible. Yeah, so just getting this general value thing in. Good evening. All right, main shadows are in. All right, and let's go for a screen layer. So I need to go grab that other palette, make sure it's properly updated. Let's save that. Put this up. And oops, cancel. Save. Save. All right, let's see if that's uploaded properly. Sometimes this will cause it to crash, kind of switching, especially when files are big like these. Let's see. If I delete, cancel, remove, add, we want that one. All right, there we go. Got my colors uploaded all the way and updated. All right. Just spot under there. Good evening. Boom, right? It should just be the brightest stuff. Got another color for in between the brights. other highlight color. Set that to screen. Good evening. Yeah, I'm probably on for the next couple hours. I got till 8:30 before I need to call it a day. Edit and grab that. Good evening. Welcome, welcome. All right, we're looking on regular light. Good evening. People popping in. All right. For a pull back on the darkness of that shadow. I think that reads a little better. And a little bit of airbrush in some of these spots. Okay, up here. Erase. That. Spots like that. We'll go in and start cleaning it up. So let's turn off our lights. Focus on fixing up the shadow shapes. Make sure our eraser is selected. Wrong button. Just going to go panel by panel. Clean it up. Oh, good, you good. No, it's something else. All right, never mind. Just wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything. It happens once in a while, so. So let's clean this stuff up. but we put the shadow back on there. Better. And let's turn on this. Yeah, what do you think, Bosch? Good evening, people popping in. That's what my dog keeps asking. Is this all there is? I don't think we need much light on these at all. It's almost better without. Big enough kablooey here. and next one. Clean that up. Good evening. Sorry, just color in and chill. I'm trying to get this banged out. See what I think when I get into the lettering phase. Ask my dog what he thinks. Doesn't always tell me though. Especially when it comes to these kinds of subjects. He keeps his mouth tight. So I'm not going to tell you how I really feel about your work. So I'm going to clean up this edge here first. Kaboom. Alright. Next one. Get that one cleaned up. Who knows, maybe I'll be able to get a couple of these done tonight, or partially done anyway. So check something out over here. All right. Let's set to lock. Very good. All right, let's see what we got going on underneath here, just to be sure I caught everybody. Let's see. Good evening, if you're popping in. Mm-hmm. Oops, some of the little spots here. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let's see. I see. Guess who was in here? I see. Aha. You need to be recolored. Let's see. Good evening. Alright. Let's see. Nope. Mm. Check. All right. All right. Go with that, I guess. See what he's going to yell about over here. I appreciate that. Sup for me. Thanks for coming in. Yeah, just working on trying to get this thing, these 8 pages specifically, colored up. I'm trying to get these. Man, should have gotten these colored a long, long time ago. But I'm trying to book it to get these done so I can get this lettered and test it out that way, and then get this out to people on my email list. Good evening. Let's see. Good evening. Let's see. Let's see, turn that back on. Grab that. Good evening. There, that's better. Good evening. Yeah, do let me know if there's any questions. I was talking a whole bunch at the very, very beginning, an hour or so ago, but yeah, Eventually, at a certain point, I start focusing in on what I'm doing. Let's see, there to there, there to there. Hmm. Let's see. Good evening. Let's see. Around my shapes. That's better. Good evening, people coming in. Mm-hmm. 7:50. We're cranking, but we need to. Love to get this page done tonight. Good evening, everybody. Popping it. How we doing? Just Alright, let's turn those lights back on and see what we think. Take my reading glasses off. How are we doing out there this evening? What do you think? Is that a big enough explosion? Let's see. Go bluey, right? Good evening, good evening. So I'll keep my reading glasses on. Alright, so yeah, so this is the basic light color. Let's see, I'm gonna grab, let's see, ink set, grab this. Make sure my opacity is up all the way. Good evening, people popping in. Eight o'clock. That means I have, let's see, there we go. Half an hour left. I'm definitely glad I came on. It's good progress. So hopefully finish this. Maybe tomorrow, we'll see. Alright, let's just focus on these shadows first. Good evening, people popping in. Down to our last 30 minutes for tonight. It's nice to take a little break from the paperwork I was doing getting ready for this semester. feels better. Let's shut that off. That feels better. Alright, it's much better. I think. What do we think? Good. Let's grab that color. Wrong layer. You. Good evening. Let's see. Ah. Mm-hmm. 15 minutes. Aha. Good evening. Let me know if there's any questions. We're about down to my last 10 minutes or so. So, just, so there. Good evening, people popping in. I'll be on for about another 10 minutes. A little bit less, but I'm having a good time trying to get this page lit up. Get the shadows on here. Mostly been focusing down here and up here. And I need to go back into the middle line. I was hoping I'd be done, but that'll give me a good place to start next time, right? So I come back next time, I can get those cleaned up, because these are ones the most complicated anyway, so yeah, so do let me know if there's any questions out there. So maybe just want to do a little test here. Screen, airbrush. Let's see how I feel about that tomorrow, I think. I don't know. What do we think? Well, I think I'm going to go ahead and call it there. Appreciate everybody that came in. I'm going to get the rest of these screen recordings off of here, so I don't have to deal with that later. But appreciate that, and I'll talk to you all later.